Good evening. My name is Matthey. I'm the other candidate in Group 22, and I currently work for the State Attorney's Office. I've been a trial attorney for the past 10 years, and I'm running for judge because I want to continue my career in public service. At the age of 20, I was a student at the University of Florida, and I decided it was time to begin that career in public service. So I put myself through the police academy, and I became a police officer while still a student. I graduated and decided to pursue my career by becoming a deputy sheriff, and I worked protecting the community and putting my life on the line for 3.5 years in law enforcement. It was a job that I loved. It was a job that I found very rewarding, and but a day came when I decided that I wanted to take my education, my experience, and do something more for the community. So what I did was I left a job that I loved, the job that I was good at, and went to Stetson here in Pinellas County and became a prosecutor. And for 8.5 of the past 10 years, I've practiced law. I have some experience in private practice doing divorce work as well as criminal defense. And in that time, I've gained experience and I've demonstrated the demeanor I feel necessary to become a trial judge. I've tried 75 cases. Over 60 of those were jury trials, including a lot of high-profile murders, rapes, drug trafficking charges, a lot of violent stuff. I'm good at what I do, and I love my job, but the time has come again for me to do something more for the community, and again to take my experience and my education to help the community to have a broader impact on it. And I feel that I can do that as a circuit judge. And that's why I'm asking for your vote August 26th, so that I can continue to make a positive impact on our community. Thank you. Well, that's a pertinent question for me as a former police officer and deputy and a prosecutor. We have over 100,000 people incarcerated in prison in the state of Florida alone. And it's not something that's lost on our judges. I can tell you from experience, being in the courtroom, in the criminal arena, it's something that at least all the judges that I have practiced in front of think of on a regular basis when they're deciding what to do. I've seen an increase, fortunately, from between the legislature and the court system of trying very hard to find alternative ways to treat people who commit what are criminal offenses, but that as a society we feel don't necessarily merit a prison or a jail sentence. Just recently, the legislature has adjusted the sentencing guidelines to give more leeway to the judges for nonviolent drug offenders to be able to qualify for jail diversion programs. And as Amanda touched on, we do have programs in our court systems here in the 6th Judicial Circuit that are very successful. I have actually run drug court in Dade City for 18 months, and I've seen from the beginning to the end the chance that we've given, and literally have judges and prosecutors and defense attorneys bending over backwards to keep people from going to jail and to keep them from going to prison and to try to route them in the right direction to get the drug treatment that they need. So the encouraging part of it is, at least from a prosecutor's perspective and hopefully as a future judge's perspective, that we are working in the direction of addressing the prison overcrowding to the extent that we're trying to divert as many of our veterans and drug users from ending up in the cycle of going and adding to that number of 100,000 that keeps growing every day. You know, it's funny, my wife and I talked about this question because we did review all the questions that you submitted to us, and my honest answer to you all is I don't know how my opinion on the war on drugs really touches on my qualifications or abilities to be a judge. Obviously, we would all agree in this room that this country and many other countries across the world have a tremendous drug problem. And to the extent that the idea of the war on drugs was to eradicate the use and possession of drugs, we would probably all agree that it has failed in that regard. I'm not going to give you my opinion on it. Of course, like you know, I've worked in law enforcement. I've dealt with people who have possessed drugs, who have sold drugs, and I have seen as a prosecutor what motivates the majority of the people who end up in the criminal justice system, and most of the time, if it's not mental illness or if it's not some other reason, it's drugs. It comes down to that almost each and every time. So again, going back on addressing what I think the court systems need to do is identify what it is that's motivating the people that end up in the system, whether it be greed or poverty, a lot of time, like I said, mental illness, and try to do the best that they can to address the issue so that the person doesn't keep coming back and back and back into the system. But, you know, I always say I have a caseload at any given time of over 120 cases. At least 50% of those are drug possession, drug sale, drug use cases, and the other 50% are the burglaries, the grand thefts, the carjackings, and every other crime that goes because somehow or other it's related to the root of the problem is the drugs. So that, as Judge Boyer would say, is my answer to the question.
Thank you.
Some parting words. What I'd like to, I guess, wrap up with is for all of you, and you've heard this over and over again, and I think it is really important, is when you're obviously here for a reason, you're interested in who the next judges are going to be that are going to make the most important decisions in a lot of our citizens' lives for the next 6 years at least. And I encourage you to go above and beyond what you've done tonight by coming to listen to us. It's refreshing for us to have people that actually want to know more about us and what we want to bring to the bench. And we all have websites. Mine is matteyforjudge.com. And I also encourage you, look at all of our websites. And when you do, look at not only how many years a person's practiced, but look at what they've accomplished in the years and what they've done in the community. All those things, of course, as you already know and has been told to you several times, is important. If you look at my website, again, I have spent 10 years literally in the courtroom as a trial attorney, and I've already told you I've picked over 60 juries. I've tried 75 cases plus, and that is real-world experience that I can bring if elected. Because remember, what we're looking to do here is to be trial judges and to conduct jury trials on a daily basis, just as Judge Boyer has told you. And I always feel that if you haven't been one of the instruments in the orchestra, how can you be the conductor, being the one to run the show and protect the record and protect the jurors and the constitutional rights of the people that are there? So take a look at that and judge, of course, for yourselves. And vote for Phil Matthey on August 26th. Thank you. Have a great night. Thank you.